Hello and welcome back to your daily basketball recap. My name is Levi Jacob. Today, we're going to do a fun thing. Bleacher Report released a Mount Rushmore for all 30 NBA teams, meaning the 4 best players throughout a team's history. I want to dive right into it because I think a couple of these are very interesting. I really, really disagree with a few of them, and I want to hear your thoughts. I want everybody to weigh in, comment, like, subscribe if you want to. We love going over lists like this, and I especially love going over lists like this, so please let us know what you think down below. We're going to start off with the Atlanta Hawks. Just a note to mention, before we go much further here, it is every NBA team's Mount Rushmore of the century. This century. The Atlanta Hawks. Al Horford, Trae Young, Joe Johnson, and Paul Millsap. The argument could be made for more recent players. However, they don't have the longevity that these guys do for at least playing for a couple of years for the Hawks and being as successful for them, being on winning Hawks teams. So all in all, I think this is correct. Josh Smith also shows up here at some point. His defensive addition that he gives his team was quite phenomenal, but Paul Millsap, I think, overall does more. So that's where that stands. I think that list is correct. Next, Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Tatum. Yeah, they mentioned it in the article here that Rondo comes closest. I actually think that I would personally put Rondo in place of Jaylen Brown. That being said, I think that they're neck and neck. To me, honorable mentions, I think this is more from a statistical standpoint. Isaiah Thomas goes on this list. Ray Allen, but I think that a lot of the role that Ray Allen played while he was on the Celtics was more second half of his career function, kind of, so it wasn't as useful as Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. But overall, this is also the correct 4 players that should be here. I think that I would put Rondo over Jaylen Brown, honestly, but I think that's just personal preference. Brooklyn Nets. Personally, it's the New Jersey Nets. It will never change. Brooklyn Nets. Vince Carter at shooting guard, Richard Jefferson, Jason Kidd, and Brook Lopez. I want to see if they mention in this article here. I think the top 3 are the correct picks because of the fact that they created the most winning time for the Brooklyn Nets. However, Brook Lopez, although he was beloved and was a successful player for the Nets, I think it should be Darren Williams. I really think it should be Darren Williams. Getting him is what brought about like the quote unquote renaissance of the Nets. Kevin Durant, I just don't think he was there for long enough. Kyrie Irving, definitely not, and James Harden is not even a discussion. But Darren Williams, I think, just brought prominence to the Nets. He was, I think, kind of the first signing that was like, oh, okay, the Nets are trying to make a move here. They're trying to really build something. Again, Joe Johnson was good for the Nets as well. But I think Darren Williams, just feel like he was the driving force. Brook Lopez has the longevity on the Nets, but some of those years he was kind of didn't really give us as much as we were looking for. So personally, it'd be Darren Williams, but again, it's pretty close. Charlotte Hornets. Point guard is LaMelo Ball. Al Jefferson at center. Such an underrated tenure with the Hornets. Actually, his peak with the Hornets didn't last for very long, unfortunately. But in the time that he did spend with them, where he was good, he was really, really, he was one of the top centers in the NBA. And people just didn't respect it because he was on the Hornets. But, Kemba Walker at point guard. Gerald Wallace at power forward. Kemba Walker, that's the right pick. LaMelo Ball is not who I think that I would put on this team. I'm trying to give you an alternative, and maybe that's the issue why you have to have LaMelo Ball on this team. But I just don't think he's contributed to as much winning basketball as we think, in a sense. Maybe I'd put here, yikes, man, when this team was the Bobcats, they were so bad, man. Steven Jackson? Maybe LaMelo Ball is the answer. It's just disappointing. Maybe even at this point in his career, I might even put Brandon Williams over LaMelo Ball. We'll see. Maybe Colin Knippel is the one that rounds out this list somehow. Yeah, it's not a great list. And LaMelo Ball, he's a very talented, don't get me wrong, he's a very talented player. He has all the skills to be a player that contributes to a team successfully. Is just I just hate that he hasn't been on the court, really. And it's like upsetting to me personally. Chicago Bulls. Derrick Rose at point guard, correct. Jimmy Butler, Joakim Noah, and Luol Deng. Joakim Noah is correct. Derrick Rose is correct. Unfortunately, not as many years as it should be. I wouldn't be mad if instead of Luol Deng, you put Kobe White. I think that he's actually been a pretty successful player for them. You know what? I actually would put DeMar DeRozan. I would put DeMar DeRozan over Luol Deng on this list. Yeah, the Bulls have also been another team that have had kind of a difficult go of things, unfortunately, over the past few years. The Cavaliers, small forward LeBron James, he's going to be on a few teams' lists. Kyrie Irving at point guard, Kevin Love at power forward, Zydrunas Ilgauskas at center. They didn't put any modern Cavs in this team. Donovan Mitchell needs to be on this list. I would replace, I think, Kevin Love. I know that he's a champion and he helped bring them the championship. I think I would replace Kevin Love with Donovan Mitchell here. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's been awesome. Donovan Mitchell's been awesome the past, 3 years? I think he needs to be here instead of Kevin Love. And that's aside from Evan Mobley even. Evan Mobley could also replace Kevin Love here. Donovan Mitchell could replace Kyrie Irving here. I understand that Kyrie Irving, again, was one of the players that brought them the championship, but if you replace Kyrie Irving with Donovan Mitchell going on that championship run with LeBron, I think is right. I think that's correct. I think that they would win still. Yeah. I think Donovan Mitchell should be there at the very least. Dallas Mavericks. You ready for this? Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Terry, Luka Doncic, power forward Dwight Powell. I appreciate giving credence to the longevity of a player on a franchise. Dwight Powell, get off this team. Sorry. It's rude. I'm aware of the fact that it's rude. I didn't get to the Thunder yet. I hope that Nick Collison is not on that list. I love Nick Collison, but just doesn't need to be here. Jason Terry, Luka Doncic, Dirk Nowitzki. Those are the right picks. Kyrie Irving needs to be on this list as well. Jason Kidd? No Jason Kidd. That's weird to me. Tyson Chandler, maybe even. Jason Terry was awesome. Don't get me wrong. Jason Terry was awesome. Monte Ellis had that really good year also. Jason Terry, I guess, has the longevity over Monte Ellis for that 1 or 2 seasons, I want to say. But yeah, sorry. I know it's like a fan service thing, but get him off the list. Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, Carmelo Anthony, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon. Carmelo Anthony brought them to the they actually said it. He actually played 7.5 seasons in Denver, and they were very successful during that time. Aaron Gordon being power forward is disrespectful to Andre Iguodala on the Nuggets, Danilo Gallinari on the Nuggets. I dare to even say Kenneth Faried. Yeah, Aaron Gordon being here is a little bit interesting. He did give that team, this current team, a certain level of prominence after they traded for him, and he's been able to fit next to Jokic perfectly. But at that point, you might as well give it to Bruce Brown. You know what I'm saying? That's not the right pick. That's not the right pick. Michael Porter Jr., I think, in his good years with the Nuggets, could be a standout pick here. Christian Braun. I put Christian Braun over Aaron Gordon, honestly. But these are all people who we're talking about secondarily. I do think, though, that Andre Iguodala for his time in Denver should be there. They were great. Ty Lawson deserves to be on this list also. Ty Lawson was excellent for this team, for the Denver Nuggets. Detroit Pistons. I would say you could put him instead of Aaron Gordon. Detroit Pistons. Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace. They have not had, over the course of this time span, aside from, I want to say, Cade, that I would put up here. But in regards to winning, championship, it's kind of hard to argue against how effective each of these players were, and especially at their role within the team. I'm okay with leaving Cade off this list, but I would say that in the future, Cade will very much be, in regards to this discussion, Cade will very much be on this team. Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. Yeah. You could make an argument for Baron Davis. I don't think that he deserves to be here with these players in this capacity. And Kevin Durant wasn't here as long as these players were, in as much of the influences they've given to this team. So Kevin Durant, I don't think is the right call either. Moving forward, Houston Rockets. James Harden at shooting guard, Yao Ming at center, Clint Capella at center, Shane Battier at small forward. Tracy McGrady is not on this list, notably. They do say in the article, Tracy McGrady was part of the run, but Yao Ming was the Houston Rockets' main driver of success during the first decade of the 2000s. That being said, you're putting Shane. You're putting Shane over him. Shane was really great. Don't get me wrong, but it's a little interesting. How about Dwight Howard? when he was playing next to James Harden. I know that they didn't get along exactly. Clint Capella was like the ultimate version of the center next to James Harden. Chris Paul, by the way, should also be up here, but it's fine. It's fine. I think Chris Paul should be on this list. For his time that he spent in Houston, he was an animal. He was a real animal. He was awesome. It was so much fun to watch the two of them together. They didn't win together. Well, they won a lot, but just not the championship. Yeah, I think that there's a few players that I would put personally over Shane Battier. I understand that Shane Battier he was a great player for the Houston Rockets. He really contributed to their success, especially with these teams. But I still think that I would put them in over him. Indiana Pacers: Paul George, Tyrese Halliburton, Jermaine O'Neal, and Miles Turner. I would put, they say here, Reggie Miller is the only player notably not on this list, but he had 1 year in regards to this list timeline that they would put on. I just feel like Victor Oladipo was an all-star. Was Miles Turner ever an all-star? I don't know. Domantas Sabonis played really well for them as well. I just keep going back to Danny Granger in my mind. I feel like Danny Granger could even be here over Miles Turner. Just like between not playing so many games within a season in regards to Miles Turner, I know it's a hard one. This is a hard one. Oh, they also say Roy Hibbert, George Hill. I wouldn't say. Yeah, so Danny Granger, sorry, Roy Hibbert, and Domantas Sabonis. Yeah, they say because of Miles Turner's longevity. I think out of those, I think I would put Danny Granger. Yeah, I think I'd put Danny Granger. Los Angeles Clippers: Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford. Hard to argue. I think the difference is I think I would put JJ Redick in over Jamal Crawford. Not to take anything away from Jamal Crawford. I love Jamal Crawford. JJ Redick, I feel like, is what took them to the next level when they got him. Although Jamal Crawford won them a few playoff games. It's a toss-up. It really is a toss-up, but these are the correct players for now. Kawhi, I think this year could make the argument. I think Kawhi belongs on this list for the Clippers. I think he does. And Paul George should not be on this list. This is hard. Yeah, I think I would put Kawhi in there. I would put Kawhi in there over Jamal Crawford as well. And I do think that I'd put, I put Jamal Crawford over Redick now that I'm thinking about it. I think also because Jamal Crawford was there longer than Redick. Lakers: Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Pau Gasol, Derek Fisher. I'm going to look at this for one moment because I want to understand why. Maybe they didn't list players twice. Maybe that's why they did this. They did it this way. That's why a few teams going back, also like Chris Paul, for example, wasn't on the Rockets list. If you are able to use multiple players, LeBron James should be here instead of Derek Fisher, and it's not close. It's not close. It's not close. Yeah. Otherwise, that list is fine. That list is even more so. It's correct. Grizzlies: Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen. Yep. Until John Morant is able to play through a full season, he's not on this list. Jaren Jackson Jr., in my mind, has done more than John Morant has to this point. This is a correct list so far. Miami Heat. Nope, you can redo players. So LeBron should be on that Lakers list because he's been more effectively a piece for winning for the Lakers championship hopes than Derek Fisher has. Yeah, it should be LeBron. Miami Heat: Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Yeah. Yeah. If they're able to have a good team over the next few seasons, Tyler Hero might make this list. Actually, no, because he's not going to do what Jimmy did. Like, he's not going to be able to ever duplicate what Jimmy did. And both these other players brought them championships. So, yeah, that's the correct list. Milwaukee Bucks: Giannis at power forward, Brooke Lopez at center, Chris Middleton at small forward, shooting guard Michael Redd. All are correct in my book. I think about Brandon Jennings, but he didn't really contribute to a lot of winning basketball per se. Or certainly Ilyasova. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is correct. This is correct. What was Ray Allen? Maybe because of Michael Redd. Michael Redd I would put over for the Bucks over Ray Allen. Yeah, and he brought them a champ. Brooke Lopez brought them a champ, helped bring them a championship. He was a major part of that championship run. Yeah, that's correct. Drew Holiday also helped bring them a championship. Just doesn't have the longevity, obviously, but deserves to be a part of the conversation. Minnesota Timberwolves: Kevin Garnett, correct. Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and Kevin Love. Yes, and yes to all of those. Man, I like Ricky Rubio, but he doesn't really, unfortunately, he had a lot of time where he was not able to be a helpful player, unfortunately, for him. And Jimmy Butler was there for a very brief period of time and was just mean to everybody. So it's not Jimmy Butler. Andrew Wiggins also is not part of that conversation because the winning didn't really start until he was gone. So Yeah, that's correct. New Orleans Pelicans. Chris Paul, Anthony Davis, David West at power forward, Zion Williamson at power forward. I don't love it. I don't love it. I want to say, man, that's a hard one. That's a hard one to think of alternative players even. Holiday. I think Drew Holiday over Zion for the Pelicans. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to say that. All right, Gordon, Drew Holiday. I'm going to say Drew Holiday. New York Knicks. This one's a fun one. Carmelo Anthony, Jalen Brunson, Allen Houston, Julius Randle. Replace Allen Houston with J.R. Smith. That's my hot take. I know. I just feel like he meant more. And I know Allen Houston means a lot. Don't get me wrong. I know he means a lot to the Knicks. I think J.R. Smith meant more. Amari Stoudemire. No, he just didn't play a lot with them, unfortunately. I'm looking at the comments that they made. No. Yeah, I would put JR. I think he was just like, when the Knicks were flying, they were flying, you know? Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, SGA, Nick Collison is here. Nick Collison. Don't do this. Who took a Mount Rushmore? Don't do this. Don't try to go for the heartstrings. Just give us what we want. I think Steven Adams. Contributed a lot to the winning for this team over this time. J-Dub and Chet Holmgren just haven't been there long enough. Reggie Jackson and Dion Waiters were limited exposure, Enes Kanter was helpful for them for a specific period of time, but only really did much on the offensive end. Yeah, I think it's Steven Adams. Serge Ibaka was meaningful, but also his tenure was not as long as I think people think it was. Kendrick Perkins, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Is so slow on those teams. Jeff Green, I don't love it. But it's just, don't do this Nick Collison nonsense, please. Spare us. Oh, Paul George. But he was there for 2 years. Nah. So then forget it. Orlando Magic. Dwight Howard, Tracy McGrady, Jameer Nelson. Soon on this list, I think Paolo Banchero and Franz will both be here. As it stands, I'm trying to think if there's any players that we're forgetting that were on the Magic. I think this is a correct list. Yeah, I think this list is correct. Maybe you could say JJ Redick, but he also Nick Vucevic, maybe. Yeah, no, I think this is correct. Okay, moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers. Allen Iverson, Joel Embiid, Andre Iguodala, Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young should not be on this list. He should not be on this list. That should instead be, this is even a hot take, I don't think, Ben Simmons. Why are people disrespecting Ben Simmons like this, huh? Drew Holiday is a good argument. Tyrese Maxey, I don't think has been there long enough. Yeah, it should be Ben Simmons. It really should be Ben Simmons. He played more time there than Ben Simmons did, but it's got to be Ben Simmons. He just competed at them as much higher, competed for them at a much higher level than Thaddeus Young did. Phoenix Suns, Steve Nash, Devin Booker, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire. This list is correct. To the heights that these players brought the Suns to, it's correct. Mikal Bridges was very good for them. For the sake of this list, I don't think it's long enough. Kevin Durant is the same issue. DeAndre Ayton was a piece of that puzzle, and Chris Paul, again, was not there long enough, but he really, really helped remake this team. But I think Devin Booker as a stand-in within the context of the rest of the Suns guys is correct. Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge, Brandon Roy, CJ McCollum. I would argue Wesley Matthews or Nick Batum. I think that their tenure wasn't as long as CJ McCollum, though. Brandon Roy, I don't think should, for legend status, yes. I don't think he should be on here for longevity's sake. I think Nick Batum would be over him. Unfortunate career of Brandon Roy, really, honestly. It was very sad to see it go this way. LaMarcus Aldridge, though, people don't respect what he did for this Blazers team for some reason. He was very, very important for them, and he should go down in history as one of the top Blazers of all time. I just want to see if they have any other no other offerings. Yeah, that's kind of the Trailblazers, but I think that there's others you could put over Brandon Roy. Yeah, Sacramento Kings, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic. De'Aaron Fox should be on this list. It's a little bit disrespectful. He's not. Yeah, he just should. Come on, put him on this list. I know this Kings team like went far, made the finals, but he at least deserves a little bit of recognition. I am a huge DeMarcus Cousins fan. I'm not bothered by the fact that he isn't on this list. I think that each of these players help contribute to a more winning culture within the Kings organization. And I think that that's what this list mostly comprises of. But he is like a fan favorite, beloved player, DeMarcus Cousins. So he should be on here. Really, if we're still going with the fan favorite, like Nick Collison side of things, but they kept him there for forever, and the poor guy never won anything. But winning. Domantas Sabonis also should be there. He should be there. I would say over Vlade, but De'Aaron Fox should be there over Vlade first. Spurs, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard. If there's any other player that someone might say deserves to be there, they're wrong. This is exactly the right list, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Like, you want to say Danny Green because of what he contributed to this team's offense? Sure, but the other things that these other players contributed was much more impactful to their winning. Toronto Raptors, Vince Carter, DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry. Kawhi Leonard in that one season brought them to the championship. I think that he should be on this list twice. Yeah, this is the correct list. Pascal Siakam deserves to be on here. I guess not, because DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry need to be on here, and so does Vince Carter. Yeah, he brought them prominence. Pascal Siakam, though, they say here, tied Carter and DeMar DeRozan for franchise lead in all NBA selections, but he's a special offering. Okay. The Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert, Carlos Boozer, Darian Williams, Andrei Karolinko. I'm not even going to entertain this. Why in the world didn't they put on Donovan Mitchell? Gordon Hayward, maybe? Nothing? All right, well, anyways. That is a list that you can do for some reason. Rudy Gobert had heights of defensive player of the year and all that stuff, but literally their team didn't. Maybe Joe Ingles? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, interesting selection, because I think Carlos Boozer and Darian Williams and Andrei Karolinko were on that team. They were all excellent players. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like Donovan Mitchell should be there instead of somebody. And lastly, the Washington Wizards. Gilbert Arenas, John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Antoine Jameson. This is my hot take. I feel like Marcin Gortat should be on here instead of Antoine Jameson. Aside from that, they're missing the most important Wizard fan favorite of all time, which is Davis Bertans, the Latvian laser. And I'm disappointed in you, Bleacher Report. I thought better. They contributed to that one fun season with Bradley Beal. Michael Jordan also should be on this list just because of the prominence that he brought them. But whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, that was Bleacher Report's Mount Rushmore of all 30 teams within the last century. Fun list, interesting contributions, mostly, I think, correct, but as you saw, some of them were just bad. That was your daily basketball recap. I want to thank Shlomo for being the best co-host a man could ever ask for. I want to thank Max for producing this fine podcast here and YouTube show. And lastly, I want to thank our listeners and viewers. You guys are the best. Please let us know what you think. Let me know about what you think about my contributions, if Davis Bertans was really the best Wizard of all time. And like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you wish. Do whatever you want to. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.